Good morning, quilters. April here. Now, if you received the Quilters Corner bundles, it's a Canadian bundle that ships or can be picked up at the beginning of every month, the first. You would have received in March this beautiful table runner kit called Tulips. It's really, really pretty. Now, what I love about the Vanderhoof's Quilters Corner Bundle is they always give us lots of extras. With what we received, we could have easily made two table runner tops, but I don't need two table runner tops or two table runners. So I was looking at the extra fabric left over and I came up with a whole other project. And today I'm going to walk you through how I made it. I don't have a website. I don't have a pattern written up for you to print. So you may have to stop and pause and take some notes if you would like. If you do like this project, please bear with me. This is my first tutorial, so I'm giving it my best shot and I hope you enjoy it. So this is what I made out of my scraps. Beautiful little tulip wall hanging that measures out at 14 1/4 wide by 17 1/2. And it's just got this really nice pretty tulip block and then the word spring. So I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to do my best, so please bear with me. So in our bundle we got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 beautiful colors. We got two really pretty greens. One is very soft. So this is one of our greens here. It's very, very soft. The other green that we got is a little darker. So out of the darker one is what I used for my stems and my leaves. And then we got these assortment of other colors. We got a really pretty pinks that are very soft, a purple, kind of a peach tone, an orange, and a yellow. So what you're going to do is decide what four colors you want for your tulip block. Now, you should have enough fabric that if you wanted, you could probably do your tulip, the main body of your tulip here. Instead of doing a 4-patch different colors, you should have enough that you should be able to get 4 of these blocks out of one color if you would like. So what we're going to do is I'm going to select my 4 colors and show you how I cut them. Really super simple. This is a very simple project. You know, it's got some piecing, it's got some applique and that. So I think this time to do something completely different than what I did is I'm going to cut all 4 of mine out of, you know what, I really like the orange and the purple together. It's got some nice contrast, you know, it's kind of got the warm and the cool tones. So that's what I'm going to do. Now to cut these, all you need is 4 4-inch blocks or squares. So you're going to cut 2 purple, 2 orange if you're going to do the same as me, or 4 different 4-inch squares. These strips that they gave us are already 4 inches wide. And I'm just going to come here with my rotary cutter, or with my ruler here and double check, make sure, yes, it is 4 inches wide. Oh, I don't want that end because it's got the weird fold that I trimmed off earlier. And of course, in my mess, I can't find my rotary cutter. So you're just going to line it up along the edge. Now, some of these strips do measure like just under 4, like just right around 4 1/8. I didn't worry about that. Really, an eighth does not make a huge difference in your cutting. And that, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my 4 blocks, my 4 squares, and I'll be right back. So now I have my 4 pieces that are 4 inches square. Now for this part, I do need 4 2.5-inch squares out of your background. And I've already made a table runner and I've made the wall hanging. And I still have enough background, if you're really careful with how you cut, to do this whole other piece. So now I need 4 2.5-inch strips. So I need 10 inches long at least. And I do have that. Oh, I don't want to use this one. I need a different piece. I will use this one. Because this is 3 inches, I do need this for another piece later. So I'm just going to measure how wide this one is, and it is just over 5. So I'm just going to cut 2 2.5-inch strips and cut those down. Now, after you get your 4 2.5-inch squares cut, we are going to mark them diagonally, corner to corner, and that's going to become your stitch line. Now, I find if I stitch right on that line, sometimes when I fold them back, they don't come out quite as square as I want them. So now I got my 4, and I'm just going to grab a pencil here and mark them corner to corner. Now, you can use a friction marker or a friction pen, and they're great. But because pencil's really light, it's not going to bleed in the wash. When I wash it, I quite often find that I just reach for a pencil. And you just want to do a light line. I don't even know if you can see. Oh, there we go. Corner to corner. Now, when I sew these on, and with this fabric, it's really hard to tell the front and the back. So, you know, especially in this lighting in this room, it's not that great. I am going to sew, it doesn't matter which corner you attach them to, because you can spin them, because it's only one corner going on each of your blocks. That's right, that piece wasn't folded over, so I just need to turn them. Okay, so I hope you can see this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my square and I'm going to line it up in one of these corners so it goes edge to edge and stitch down. So I'm going to go sew this and I'll be right back. So now I've stitched my corner on, I've ironed it back, and I have trimmed off the seam allowance. So now you should have 4 blocks that look like this. And then the next thing you want to do is lay them out. And I'm just going to get mine set up here and I'll show you. So you want to lay them out so you have, where are you? There we go. Lay them out so you have 2 whites in the bottom corner and then 2 whites meeting here in the middle. And then you're going to go ahead and stitch them together like a 4-patch, and then the top of your tulip is completely done. So I'm going to go do that and I'll show you. So here's the top of my tulip, and I'm just going to set it aside for now and work on my leaves. So for your leaves, you need 2 4-inch squares and 2 4-inch background squares. And there again, you're just going to cut your squares. So on the back of your background squares, you're going to just, again, want to mark corner to corner on the diagonal. And with these ones, you're going to line them up right on top of your green squares. And then sew a 1/4 inch on either side of your drawn line and then you'll get 2 half square triangles from each one. So I'll go do that and meet you back here. So I've gone ahead and sewed corner to corner on both sides and cut them in half, ironed them open, and you're going to square them down to 3.5 inches. And then you just want to take some scissors or your rotary cutter and just trim off the little dog ears. It just creates a little less bulk if you go ahead and do that now. You can do it after you sew it from the back, but it's just a little easier to do it now. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 of your half square triangles and you're going to line them up, not so it makes like a half diamond. You want to line them up so they line up like this and gives you one diagonal line. So after you do that, get them all laid out. And you want to make sure when you sew them that you have 2 opposites. So I will, oh, no, that's wrong. Diagonally challenge moment. So you want one going right, one going left. And you're going to sew those together. And then on top of each of your, oh, where are my notes here? Of your half square triangle leaf sets here, on top of each one, you're going to sew a 3-inch by 3.5-inch square, or rectangle, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those. First, I'm going to double check that this scrap is actually 3 inches. And it is. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it at 3.5 inches. Making sure that my actual edges of my fabric are all lined up, so I don't want it with a wonky cut. And before I take mine to the sewing machine, I kind of just like to stick a pin in it or lay it out right beside my sewing machine, so then that way I am not winding up with 2 that are exactly the same, because that's not going to work. Which I almost did. So then you're just going to take your 3 by 3.5 and you're going to lay it across the top of your leaves. And you're going to sew all 3 of those together in a row. So your layout should look like this. So go ahead, pin them if you need to. So you wind up having your leaves go in different directions, and sew all 3 rows together, and I'll meet you back here. So now I have my leaves all sewn together, my leaf strips all sewn together here. So the next thing I need to do is cut a 1.5 by 9.5 inch strip of fabric. And I have enough of my green here left over that I can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do that. So what did I say here? 1.5 by 9.5. And if you're not sure, double check the length. Okay. Mine came out at 9. And that's fine. So 1.5 by 9 inches is what I need. So just to save myself so I can have a little bit of extra, like I like having a wider scrap than a little scrap. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut my piece off at 9 here and then slide over 1.5 inches. And then what you're going to do is go ahead, take it to the sewing machine and sew down either side of that strip. Now once these 3 pieces are sewn together, it should measure out to be the same size as your tulip head. So once you have those sewn together, you're going to go ahead. You're going to go ahead and sew your 2 leaves to your stem, and then then that whole bottom unit, you're going to go ahead and sew to your tulip. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back here. So after you've done that, you should be left with the block that looks like this. So to this block, I want you to actually measure it because everybody's 1/4 inch seam is a little different. So mine's coming out at 16. So down the one side, you are going to sew a 2-inch by 16-inch strip. And I have that here. So you're just going to sew that down one side. And then this is what it shows. So I'm just going to sew it down the one side here. And then across the top, you are going to sew a 2 by 9-inch strip across the top. I did that just so I had a little bit more wiggle room for when I did my applique down the one side saying spring, just to give myself a little bit more space. And then you will need a 5.5. And then you'll need to cut yourself a, oh, where is it? A 5.5 by 17 3/4. But there again, just double check after you got your 2-inch strip sewn to the top. Just double check. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one, the 2-inch strip down the side and the 2-inch strip across the top, sewn on. So now that you've done that, you got your 2-inch by 9-inch strip across the top and your 2-inch by 16-inch sewn down the one side. So now you can set this piece aside. Measure, double check your measurements. Everybody's, like I said, everybody's 1/4 inch is a little different. Mine is 17.5. So then you're going to want to cut a 5.5-inch by 17.5-inch long strip just to go down that you're going to sew to this side. But we are going to do some applique. So what I want you to do is half of 5.5 is 2 3/4. So for this, you might want a friction pen. I just draw a line at 2 3/4 down the center of my 5.5-inch strip. And I do like using the friction pen for this because it is on the front. This is just going to help you line up your applique letters. And so it doesn't have to be a heavy line. I don't know if you can see that really. Yeah, there it is. So you're just going to draw that line down the middle. Now what I did to get my applique letters cut so that they're all the same size and the same looking font, because I'm not very good at hand drawing my letters, is what I did is I went on to Microsoft Word and I spelled out the word spring and I printed it off in a font called Ravi at a size 200. So now, of course, these are facing the right way. In the camera, it doesn't look like that, but these are facing the right way. So what I did then is I just took it to my window. It's dark enough and heavy enough that you probably see through it. But I took it to my window and I just traced the outside of the letters. So after you have whatever font you desire, 200 seems to be a good size, but then again, it depends on your font that you choose. So then you take your Heat and Bond, Wonder Under, whatever double-sided adhesive that you like, and you're just going to lay it on top, trace your letters, just like you do for normal applique, iron onto the back side of your fabric. I've done that where no, it doesn't work if you iron it to the right side. Cut them out, line them up down and space them. You want to stay about 1.5 inches away from either end and line them up down the middle, iron them on, do your favorite stitch. As you can see in my finished one, I just did a simple zigzag and I chose thread that was a shade or two darker than what I was using just to make my letters pop. Iron them on and then stitch down your 5.5-inch strip down the side of your tulip, and you're done. For my binding, what I did do is, because we have all these, sorry about the mess, all these beautiful colors, what I did do is I took and cut 2.5-inch wide strips out of my spare pieces. You can decide how long they're going to be. If you prefer 2.5, 2.5 is great. Where is it? Oh, I think it fell behind my cutting table. Oops. And I just sewed them end to end and ironed them in half and used that for, oh, power flash. Oh, here it is. And I just sewed them end to end, ironed them over, and stitched it on for my binding. On the back, I did do, and I just did a simple stitch in the ditch. And then around my letters, I just kind of stitched with white just on the outside edges, just to kind of make the letters puff and look really nice. And then for the back here, for hanging, I took a 5-inch square, folded it on half on the diagonal, and then basted it in to place before I stitched on my binding. That way it gives me nice little pockets. And the funny part is, I don't know if you have a paint stir stick at your home, but oddly enough, the paint stir stick fits perfectly right in there, because I have to say I am a frugal quilter, as my granny would say. So I hope you have fun. I hope you enjoy this. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. Now, I do have a couple more tutorial ideas, and I'm really hoping I get better at this. Thank you for putting up with this. Have a good day.